Foo Fighters dropping their new album, Medicine at Midnight, follow up to their 2017 Concrete and Gold album, which we weren't big fans of from the Foo. Yeah, it's Foo Fighters are interesting. You know, you mentioned them as one of those legacy acts that you could see playing the Super Bowl eventually, and they, I would say, are probably guaranteed to play Super Bowl in the future at some point. Um, they feel like in the last 5 or 6 years they've grown in cultural status as we've seen Dave Grohl become more and more that like forebearer of rock, and
Yeah.
I feel like that puts them in a very peculiar spot because what made I think the Foo Fighters so fun and exciting was they kind of moved that 90s grunge sound into the 2000s rock mainstream pretty seamlessly. You know, Everlong, widely considered one of the greatest modern rock songs. Um, you know, they have a whole slew of songs from those early albums that just go and people know, and you know, kind of regain popularity with things like Rock Band and Guitar Hero, where people were like, "Man, these are just like fun to jam out
Hmm.
to." And now that they have this status, it's like, how do we maintain this and still be an interesting band? And did they find that recipe on Medicine at
Uh,
Midnight, Dave?
well, that's the thing. It's like they know how to maintain that status. They make an
Mhm.
album every few years and they tore the shit out of it. And
Oh,
because they're one of the biggest rock bands going, if not the biggest, besides like a band from the 60s, like they're right there at the top.
mhm.
They make a lot of money. It's very, very successful for them, doing arenas.
Yeah.
But they also, I don't think, have any real desire to think that far outside the box. This is their 10th album. You could probably say this about the last like four, right? Like they're just kind of doing a twist on what they've been doing lately. And all the promo, all the press about m- uh, what's the album called? Medicine for Midnight. Medicine
Medicine
at
at
Midnight.
Midnight.
All the press about Medicine at Midnight is about how it's like their dance album. That they reunited with Greg Kurstin after Concrete and Gold. But like this is just still them doing what they've been doing. Like it's really hilarious to hear them throw these other genres out, and they're really not doing that at all. Like the
Well,
drums are still strong, the
right.
guitars are still strong. Like it's the same stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I think you do hear them experimenting with some things that they haven't done a lot of in the past, like Making a Fire. That first song really is like a, I don't know, like throwback to like trying to be like 70s rock in a sense, you know,
Yes, it
like
is.
with the female vocalist in the background with the na na nas and the like almost kind of like feels like deep purplish type sound in a sense. And then it kind of switches up for the title track Mass at Midnight, which is a total like Talking Heads David Bowie, like trying to be like a 80s dance song riff.
Hmm.
But they can't really help themselves. They get to the chorus and Dave Grohl just does his like usual scream, and it's back to just being a Foo Fighter song. And like, oh well, they tried for like half a song to like
Yeah.
maintain this, which good for them. Like, do your Bowie impression, Dave Grohl. Like, I'm here for it. I'll listen to it.
Yeah. Well,
But the rest of it felt pretty piece.
right. Well, and that's the thing for me is I'm not like a huge Foo Fighters fan, so I
Hmm.
don't have like a lot to like refer back to in their like best stuff. So when I hear stuff like Making a Fire and Shame, Shame, and Son
Hmm.
of Mine, and Holding Poison as well, I'm like, oh, this shit rips.
Yeah,
This shit's hard. I
hold.
like this. This is good.
Yeah, holding the
Now I
poison
don't
is
think
really
it's
good.
anything, probably not anything special to like a real Foo Fighters fan, but to
Hmm.
me, that rips, and that's unlike most rock I listen to. That's
Yeah,
new. So I'm like, okay, I'll take that. That's good enough for me. But it may not be good enough for a hardcore fan, but I don't know if they actually care anymore. Like you already have all those touchstones. Do you mind if
right.
their 10th album isn't that great? Like everyone's 10th album isn't that great.
Right. No, that I think that's a really good point, and I actually think this is the best album they've had in quite some time. Just kind of like running through the albums that they've had,
Sonic
like
Highways.
Sonic Highway's big dud. In my opinion, I think there's some good stuff on there, and I like how they were trying to like pull all these genres from across the country in, but I don't think it really was worked that well. Before that, Wasting Light had one or two tracks I think that really stood out. But then it really gets back to like 2007 Echoes, Silence, Patience, and Grace from the last time they had a real album that I think stood out to people. You have songs like The Pretender on there, which was, like a top 100 darling that summer. So it's it's strange to just think that they haven't really like had a major hit. And at this point, it's kind of like, can we find one or two songs on these albums that we can throw into like the arena set list,
Yeah.
And I think they did that. I think there's three or four songs on here. You mentioned Holding the Poison. That's probably the best song. Um, to me, like that groove is just really really fun at the chorus, and then you get a bunch of like solos on it, guitar solos, drum solos, so it sounds great. um No Son of Mine is like a Queens of the Stone Age type sounding song, which I'm like, cool, go for it. And yeah, we already mentioned the other two, so I think there's enough on here for even hardcore fans to be like, this is pretty good. So, and for Foo Fighters at this point, I think that's a win. The one interesting thing though is this was recorded pre-COVID. I mean, they were supposed to be headlining Boston Calling along with Rage Against the Machine and the Chili Peppers this past
Right.
um, September or August, whenever they hold it. Or are they earlier?
It's
I can't
Memorial
remember.
Day usually, isn't it?
Memorial Day, right? They
Yeah.
they do a second one in the fall, but yeah, it's Memorial Day. So they were supposed to be, dropping this and touring at this point. So I'm interested to see how much run they get off this album before uh, you know people kind of forget about it and move on to whatever's next. I'm assuming we probably get a Rage album at some point in the future.
Huh.
I'm
That'd be
assuming
sick.
we're probably going to get a. They had already rejoined, but My Chemical Romance album, so that will probably draw some attention away. So
Yep. 2020 definitely sapped that away. Forgot
yeah,
about that.
for sure. So there's some things that will probably come back once things are happening again, but I don't know if this album's going to get a long run to it. We'll see. Um, I know I talked a lot during this. Any last thoughts for this album?
No, I liked it more than I expected to. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's some songs that hit, no doubt.
Dave Grohl's still great. Like him a lot. Nostalgia Best of 2021 on Spotify. Check the show notes on whatever platform you're watching on.